Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Brother 25 Roundtable podcast. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I am here with some wonderful guests to talk about everything that happened on the Big Brother 25 live feeds this week. And we're also going to rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they are doing in the game. With me to talk about it all is Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to rate the players, although I honestly didn't think it was going to be any worse than last week. But, this week has not been great either. So I don't really know what to do at this point. I feel like we can't just keep everybody at once forever until the end of the game. I don't know. But yeah, it's been a mess. And very excited to talk about it.
All right. Well, also with us tonight is Mari. How you doing, Mari?
I've had a day, but I'm glad to be here. Like that's all that matters. I am here. I have some things to say. I can't wait to talk about these house guests. I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, I did send out a survey earlier today over on Twitter. If you want to fill it out, you still have roughly 53 minutes. So you can go ahead and do that. Where I ask you to rate the players yourself and also answer some other survey questions like who's your favorite player, rate the episodes, the feeds, and all kinds of fun stuff over there. So make sure you head over and do that. But let's talk about the week because this is they just don't stop. I tweeted this out earlier today. I said, you can feel about this season all you want, whether you think it's entertaining or boring or a steamroll or not a steamroll, or you like Suri or you don't like Suri. I don't think anybody can deny that this has been the most eventful season, that one of the most eventful seasons that we've ever had in the history of the show. I mean, through 40 days, it genuinely has just not stopped. Very few days have been light days, and the light days are like heavy days on a normal season.
I think it's so much fun.
They are doing a lot.
Yeah, I think it's so much fun to watch. Like every day there's something new, there's something to talk about, there's some new person who's revealed their whole game or some person who's done something terrible. And I just feel like the placement of everyone changes every day. And I feel like at least, basically almost every eviction so far, the target has changed multiple times throughout the week. Honestly, maybe all of them. And I feel like that's fun for me because I always want to. I'm always like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Who's going to be going home? I don't know. Whereas in previous seasons, they basically would decide, okay, this person's the target, they're going home. And then the rest of the conversations throughout the week are more just like placement for next week or like how they're going to operate moving down the line or whatever. And this season, it's literally like, even though the target is set, even though it's the day before the eviction, you do not know who's going home. So I really think that it's so exciting. It's so fun. And even though a lot of the gameplay is infuriating and really bad, it's still fun to watch the feeds and try and figure out who's going to be the one going home. I don't know. I'm having a good time, even though I'm extremely frustrated with people.
Yeah, I agree. This has been so fun. It's like the game did stop for like 48 hours, right? Like Taran, you said they didn't stop. They stopped for about 48 hours. I felt like
they went into free fall. Like, the power structure stopped, and then the people on the bottom started doing something for a second there.
and then all it took, the chains lifted. I have never the past weekend, I have been like semi disengaged from the feed. I know what's going on. I've been watching, but I've been like, I've been like that, like force feeding myself to watch the feeds. And the minute that Suri was out of her punishment, and not only Suri being out of her punishment, but America choosing that this is the time that I should dump all of this information on Cam, not before he had power or anything, whatever. And it's just watching the last 20 hours or so has been so hilarious and so like, it's like, okay, I'm watching Suri and Izzy. Okay, but also Jared and Blue are over here. Oh God. Okay, now Blue is going to Jag. Now Jag is with America, and now Jag is running the mat. Like it, people have been like full sprinting to talk to other people. It is amazing. And you know what? People's criticisms about this season is very interesting. You can definitely see like who the new fans are. You can definitely tell who's not been in these BB streets for a long time. And for me, I'm just kind of like, y'all say y'all hate steamrolls, right? I'm sorry, this isn't a steamroll. The alliance that's running the house has gotten rid of more people in their own alliance than in the opposing alliance. This is a puppet master season. The last 20 hours has shown me that this is a puppet master season. This is Suri in all her puppet master glory. I thought we liked those seasons. Taran, what's up? I thought everybody loved a good puppet master season.
Yeah, I think if you don't want to call it a steamroll, I think it's maybe more of like a crunchy roll, which is we are not sponsored by Crunchyroll, but man, has it been crunchy along the way
There you
as
go.
Suri just kind of like rolls over every obstacle. It does not make it smooth. It is not smooth sailing. It is not steamed away. It really does just crunch through. It's been wild. Let's do a quick little recap to get us caught up, because the last time we talked, Cam had won the veto and it was looking like Jag might leave. And I think I don't remember if we knew that Red was leaving yet. Maybe it was close.
I
I'm
can't
not
remember.
sure.
I can't remember at that point.
But
yeah.
It was looking like Cam was the target for everyone coming into next week. Everyone's targeting Cam, except Cam wins the HOH. Uh-oh. And everyone is all of a sudden like, Cam, he's such a good boy.
I've been being a good boy.
Such a good boy. He's doing the thing. He's targeting the people. He's doing what we want him to do, except he didn't really do it very well. He didn't talk to anybody. He didn't ask any questions. He did the Cam thing, which we all kind of knew he would. And he nominates Felicia and Izzy, which, as he is now realizing, was a big mistake. And he is eventually going to see that after Jared wins the veto, that Jared is not willing to use the veto. He can't get Suri on the block, and he is now desperately trying to gather the numbers to take out Izzy, because taking out Felicia is seemingly a waste. It's even more of a waste than he thinks, because not only is Felicia not like the most threatening person on that side of the house from his perspective, but also she's been dumped. She's been dumped for weeks now. They've been ready to dump her. They specifically set it up so that he would target her over anyone else, and that she would be the scapegoat in this very situation. And so that's kind of where things stand in terms of the HOH. Cam kind of fell into it, tried to get out of it, couldn't, and believed in Jared too much. Another plan set up by Suri, telling him that he needed to make a 3-person thing with Matt and Cam, which did kind of happen. Cam was trusting Jared far too much throughout the week. Never even asked anybody, why did Red not trust me? Never even bothering to think, why did Jared nominate me? It wasn't until just last night that America had to volunteer the information. Would you like to know why Red was mad at you? He's like, yeah, I would love to know. You're HOH. You had one-on-ones with every person in the house. What do you mean you would like to, you are desperate to know this? Did you ask a single person? Because if you had asked America Thursday night, she would have told you. She would have told you that Jared was close to Izzy. She would have told you, and you would have known to put Jared on the block, and then you would not be in this situation, would you? No.
I've been being a good boy.
I just feel like, I mean, This HOH could have been so good for Cam, and he just did not utilize it properly. I feel like only now has he been like enlightened, quote unquote, to understand like that he was actually the target last week. I mean, like, how did he not get that? And it just, all of it, it's, I don't know. I don't know. None of it makes sense. Like, his plan entirely doesn't make sense because, okay, well, like, he wants to get Izzy out. So he puts Izzy and Felicia on the block together. He's telling everybody, well, you'd be an idiot to vote out Felicia when Izzy's right there. She's just sitting there on the block, and she's a good competitor, and she's, you know, a threat, and she's, you know, working the game and all this stuff. So you have to vote her out. Well, how does that make any sense when they're in an alliance with her? Like, he doesn't get that. Like, I feel like he should understand by now that, like, his whole, even if you're looking at like the professors or like the Legend 25 or whatever, there's a bunch of people like working with Izzy. It's not like she's some external threat that everybody's like, we got to get her out. Like a Cam, for example, like, she's within the alliance. So why would that alliance want to get rid of their strongest competitor versus someone who, according to Cam, is not doing anything in the game and who, you know, is not a threat? Like, he put up Felicia as like a perfect pawn, but it's not a perfect pawn. The perfect pawn would be someone who nobody wants to get out. Like, it just, the logic just doesn't make any sense. And I get that it's Cam, and I get that he's like, I know everything. You don't need to tell me anything. No, I know. Don't tell me anything. I already know. Like, that's Cam's whole thing. But it's like, when you're HOH, that's the time to ask questions. That's the time to figure out what happened last week. It's like, I don't know why he didn't try and figure that out. Instead, he's like, okay, I already know. Jared's with me. Matt's with me. These people are, you know, alone, and they need someone to pick them up. And these people are the trio who's working together or whatever. And it's like, you don't know. You clearly don't know anything, because last week you and your best friend were on the block, and then you're blindsided in the vote. So you don't know anything.
I also think, again, say it again, you know, logic does not work on everybody. Logic doesn't work on everybody. I'm sorry. Like, yes, logically, Izzy might be a better competitor than Felicia. She has bigger ties. She's running the game, la, 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 la. But Izzy also has better relationships with the people in the house. Let's put Suri aside for a second. Izzy has like direct individual relationships with people like Blue and Corey. You know what I'm saying? Who, honestly, it all kind of like hinges on Corey in a sense. Like, if it was anybody else sitting, you know, there, I think America could have maybe convinced Corey to flip for the power structure, but it's Izzy. You know what I'm saying? Like, Izzy is such an integral piece to his game. So seeing people like, Corey's so dumb, he should get rid of Izzy. And it's like, why? That is a valuable piece for him. Of course, yes, she is, you know, the fields come before Corey, but that is a very valuable piece for him, that if, you know, a few things happen, Suri and Jared get taken off the board some way or some shape, Izzy is right there for him. You know what I'm saying? So like, Izzy just has been doing such an amazing job with some people, not Billie Jane, but she's been doing a really good job with her social ability and connecting with individual people. Her and Blue's relationship, like, I didn't even realize how strong it was, you know, until this week. And Izzy did an amazing job of not, we all were like, oh, Izzy's gonna be like Hurricane Izzy. She's gonna hit the block and she's gonna go bananas. But Izzy did the exact opposite. She was actually way more like vulnerable. She felt way more like playful this week. She was equal parts like nervous, but also like wanted to show her allies, like, I'm not that nervous because I trust you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Izzy did a really good job for somebody who is still kind of looking at a close vote, but because it's her, people are really like, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want to get rid of Izzy. And then now you factor in the Suri of it all. Cirie is backing Izzy, but more importantly, Cirie, Jared, Izzy, they've all been laying the groundwork for Felicia to go since before this. So it's also all of that. You know what I'm saying? And then, like Melissa said, there's the alliances, all of these alliances. So Cam would have known all of this if he would have just asked one person one question instead of like I love a petty move. I love some pettiness in my big brother. So him specifically wanting them to be like gooped and gagged when they got put on the block, hilarious. Great TV for me. But guess what? You are still in a bad position. What you thought you were going to do this week did not happen. You are still in a position where you need to win next week. And it's just been so funny for me because he up until last night, he thought his HOH was going swimmingly until he crashed down to earth.
He should have asked everybody, who do you not want to leave this week? Who is one person who you do not want to leave this week? I'm sure everybody, or the majority of people would have said Cirie. And that's why you say, okay, well, I want Izzy to go. So I'm going to put her up next to Cirie. So that way nobody wants Cirie to go. They're going to have to pick Izzy. They're going to have to kick Izzy out. And I know he like didn't, I guess, want to put Cirie up there for some reason, but it just, that is the move. If you're going to take a strike, you need to strike at the power, not like, oh, I'm going to put up some person that people like don't really care about. And then also the one who I want out. It just doesn't make any sense. And I think like, yeah, I agree, Mari, like the whole blind side of all of us, that was great. I loved it. I thought it was so entertaining. I had never really had that before where, you don't get that. But I feel like the way he went about it was wrong. He should have asked questions. He should have figured it out. And then after the fact, when he's talking to everybody and they're all saying, yeah, it's going to be Felicia. We're all voting out Felicia. And instead he just doesn't want to hear it. He just says, no, you're wrong.
Wrong.
No, you're wrong.
Wrong.
and that's the problem is it's like, you're now getting information. You're getting updated on what's the status of the house and you're refusing to see it. You're just refusing to see it. And it's like his conversation with America when she's giving him all this information and he's like, no. And she's like, yeah. It's like, I mean, he doesn't know the information that everybody else knows. He thinks that he knows everything. I mean, I think at this point, he's starting to maybe come around to the idea that, oh, I guess I don't know everything because I've just been fed all this information that I had no idea about. But he still doesn't, I feel like he still doesn't want to believe that everything was Jared last week. I think he's saying like, well, Jared told Blue about the red thing and then Blue went and spread it and wants to blame Blue for these things and isn't fully, I think he
that was his initial response. He woke up today with his head on straight. He very much is, he knows, well, he realizes that Jared has led him astray.
I liked his conversation with Jag, but the problem is that like he loves to be like dropping bombs, like dropping bombshells and then being like, I'll wait, take it in. And the person's not taking it in. The person's literally just sitting there silently like, okay, like, I guess I'll just sit here until I can leave. Like Jag obviously didn't take anything that Cameron said to heart, even though Cameron was speaking the truth. Jag just sits there and Cameron's like, yep. But you need to get feedback from the person. You need to, it has to be a give and take. You can't just let the person like, I'll let that sink in. All right, now that you've seen it, I'll let you go. He needs to have a full-on conversation with Jag if he wants to get anywhere. I mean, obviously you're not going to get anywhere with Jag clearly, but the move is not just drop some bombs and then let them go and tell the house. Like the move is to actually have a conversation. And just really quick, I do want to say, I'm sorry. I just want to say one more thing is that I think that the idea of having Cameron, Bowie, America and Corey work together and Jag, maybe, I guess, whatever, is a good idea. Like not as like, oh, we need to turn against the alliance and we're just going to like, it's just the four of us rallying together to go against the big power of the house. Like, just like as a quiet down low, like guys, like we know what's up. We're on the outside. We're going to like on the down low work together, whatever. I think that's a good idea. The way that they went about it was wrong. You don't go to America and you guys have a good conversation and then separately go to Corey and you guys have a conversation and then separately go to Jag and then you guys have a conversation or whatever. You need to Cameron doesn't have a relationship with those people. He needed to have America and him actually seemed down with the idea. So then you have America go present that idea to Corey, not Cam talking to Corey alone. You need to have buy-in from the person's ally in order for the person to be like, maybe that is a good idea. Because I think that if America presented it to Corey versus Cam presenting it to Corey, maybe Corey would have been a little bit more receptive. But instead he goes and immediately talks about it elsewhere. And Jag goes and immediately talks about it elsewhere because nobody in this entire house can keep their mouth shut for more than 2 seconds. And that's like the MO. And I get that everybody in my mentions is saying, well, isn't it smart of Corey to actually go and be the first rat? And it's like, well, yeah, of course it's smart for Corey to be the first rat, but it's because the culture of ratting everything out has been cultivated in this house when it doesn't need to be that way. It can literally be silent and no one can have to rat everybody out to everybody else and have no secrets. There can be a secret. And that would be beneficial to people, but whatever.
Can I just piggyback, Taran, real quick?
I will. Oh, sorry.
Cam also shouldn't have couched his position to Corey with a threat. Like, the four of us should work together only if Izzy isn't here. You know what I'm saying?
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Keeping that low would have been perfect.
I have plenty to say about, I've had plenty to say about Corey's game. There's a lot of faults that I have in Corey's game. However, I don't see this one as a fault. I think he correctly recognizes that there's no point in getting Cam on your side right now when he is the target next week. Giving anything to Cam and not telling anybody else about it is, I'm sorry, America, but it's a death sentence. There's no point to it. Like, you're just asking for Cam to rat you out next week when he's got nothing left. Like, when he's in a corner, he's on the block. Maybe he's on the block against you. Maybe he's on the block and there's a veto in play, or maybe he's not on the block and there's a veto in play and he has information and he's just going to rat you out. Why wouldn't he? And even if he doesn't, then you haven't won anything because he's leaving. You should wait until this actually might matter. Like, maybe you or another ally wins an HOH, or maybe wait until he wins the veto to have these kinds of conversations. You know, it's useful, I think, to like make sure that he doesn't trust Jared anymore. I think that was a good thing, and he has handled that well. He has not told Jared anything, but to go too much further than that and like cast your lot in with Cam and try to hide that from the rest of the house when we all know it's going to get out. Matt's involved, like other people are involved that they know are going to rat it out. Yeah, you have to tell people this is what he's doing. And it's not like that matters at all. It's not like Cam has any other options. You should absolutely be talking to people about, he's trying to put this group together, but don't worry, it's not going to happen. And then if you actually have something to do, you actually have some power, then you make it happen.
I don't know. I feel like I get that. And I totally get that, you know, America spilling everything to him, probably like, it's not great. Like, she could have had less to say in that conversation, although it was great to watch. I had a lot of fun watching that conversation because I was like, I love when people, you know, find stuff out and there's realizations and stuff. So I was having a great time watching that conversation. But I think generally, the house has created, like I said, this culture where everybody rats everybody else out. Like, you want to be the first rat. And I hate that. And I get why now at this point, it all makes sense to keep doing that. But it's like, it's the worst to watch, honestly, because there's no like any chance of anybody wanting to do something separate because the house will find out. We need to let the house know so that they don't look at me and they'll look at them. And it's just, it makes for such uninteresting gameplay from my perspective. But I think that, you know, I don't think Corey was in the wrong for doing that. I think also he could have said a little less. He could have been like, Cam's just trying to get people together. Like, he doesn't need to immediately be like, hey, guess what? Guess what he said? I just think that, I don't know. I just feel like and I get that Cameron doesn't have any like power next week, but I feel like I get where America is coming from because America knows that she's on the outs, that she's not accepted in this group, that her only allies in blue and jag, they're not with her. They just keep constantly ratting everybody out. And so she just feels like, I have to do something because I'm not in with them. They don't want me, which is true.
Yeah, but we did spend a whole week last week of Cirie and Izzy fighting to keep America off the block. And I said, I
But
think
now they don't. Now they want her out right
because
away.
America's been
She
talking
keeps
about
getting
them.
caught.
Yeah, like it's like
But
a two-way
before
street,
then-
Melissa. Like they
Even
both
before
are.
then, you guys know she's not in the group. Even if they're like, well, I guess she'll be the like last person to be kicked out or whatever. It's like she's not in it. She's not
Right.
making any decisions. She has no agency.
I'm not saying that she shouldn't be doing something. She should absolutely be doing something. She knows that. The problem is her timing every time. Like
Thank
you
you,
have,
Taran. That's what
you
I was gonna
have to
say.
wait
It's not
until
good
you have the
timing.
ability to actually do something, or the person you're talking to has the ability to do something.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
this should absolutely have been handled prior to nominations for sure.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm saying, like, I get where she's coming from, that she feels like she needs something else because this whole Cirie Izzy structure is not beneficial to her. And like it wasn't at the time. Like, I think somebody saying like, yeah, well, I guess we'll drag her along is not the same as somebody wanting to work with somebody.
I see, but that's my that's my thing. First off, yes, if America had done this info dump Thursday night or Friday morning, this would have been much effective. We would have gotten an actual flip. We would have gotten an actual change in structure of the game. So her timing is bad. But also, I don't necessarily like this narrative that like Cirie and Izzy like have shut America out, because I agree that it's not like they want to work with her like number one or number two, but they have showed that the times that they have talked game with her separately, they talk game to her and then they talk to Corey and they talk separately, they actually do seem to like talking game to her and wanting to work with her. But then they always hear something coming back about something she said about her wanting to take somebody out, and the information might be delayed getting to them. The information might got to them too quickly, but it's just like, let's call a spade a spade. Neither of these sides want to work together. If that's the thing, you know what I'm saying? America iced Cirie out at the beginning, or Cirie feels like America iced her out at the beginning. America's shown who the people she wants to play with. She wants to keep playing with the Jags and the Blues who don't trust her. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she has no other recourse. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's my thought process. I was like, let's not act like both of these parties are just not coming together, when if they did, if Corey and if the for real was a for real alliance, that would be a steamroll. That would be a steamroll season.
I just don't think America can work with them with Jared around. I just
don't think it's Jared possible. Stuff has been
Jared's like obsessed with getting her out.
Yeah.
And like and it just is not going to work. And same with Matt. Like it's just not going to work when they're a part of this. If it was just Cirie, Izzy, Felicia, or whatever, and they're just like, hey, we want to work with America, I think there could be a shot. But if she keeps having, because also like, yeah, if she wants to work with them, that's fine. But she also needs to have her own separate way to play. And so I think her attempt was, okay, I've got Jag over here, I've got Matt over here, so I'm going to tell them information. And then immediately they go and rat her out. And so she has nothing. She don't got them. Yeah, she doesn't have them. And so then she's just expected to, be with Cirie and Izzy and just be like their lackey. Like, I just feel like that's not a good game move for either.
Right.
I think there is no good game move
I think that's the problem, right? Like, the problem is that she doesn't have a good path right now. And she is unwilling to accept that, which is a good thing. But I think what she needs to do is play the hand that she's given instead of trying to change it when she has no power to do so, when they are in power. Like when Jared is HOH, she shouldn't be running around talking about Jared. When Cam is done with his power and you don't know who's going to win HOH next week, you need to be very careful. This is a time to be doing this. It would have been more effective if she had been able to do it before he had used his power. But as long as she or somebody that she's talking to effectively can win HOH, then there can be a path there too. It's a matter of choosing when to take those paths. And the issues that America has run into is that there's nothing more damaging in the game than like just consistently getting caught lying to somebody. And so like she'll have a good conversation with Izzy where she's like, I really like you, like we're friends. They have like this nice bonding moment and it's really good. And then she doesn't really follow up very often. And then Izzy will hear from Blue or from Jag or from Jared or from Corey sometimes. Yeah, after that conversation, she was talking mad shit about you. And it's just like, what the hell? Like, I felt good. She tricked me. She tricked me. I can't believe that. And then she'll try again and they'll have a good conversation and then she'll hear something again. She tricked me again. I can't believe I fell for it again. Like, why does this keeps happening? And it's like, that's the stuff where it's like, that's the stuff where if her mom was in the house, she'd be saying, clean it up, America. Like, this is not how to do this.
I think part of it is this rat culture
Yeah.
that we have is that everybody rats her out when she should be able to trust Jag and Blue. She should be able to trust them, but she cannot trust them. But she wants desperately to believe that she can trust her friends, and she just can't. And so it's like, there's nothing. I mean, in another season, let's imagine a season where this rat culture has not been cultivated. That we have America talking to Izzy, telling her she wants to work with her, and then going to her friends, her allies, and saying blah, blah, blah about Izzy. And then her friends don't say anything about it and just keep that information to themselves because they're working together. And that would be a very different scenario.
I want to be very clear about one thing, which is that like I'm talking about America surviving the next couple of weeks, waiting for the opportunity for her to actually turn something around and do something.
Exactly.
The second that she has the opportunity, because the difference between what you're talking about and what we're talking about, I think, is that like right now she's basically number 2 on the hit list. And if Cam wins veto next week, she's gone. Whereas if Jag were that number 2 on the hit list, or you know, Bowie or somebody else were number 2 on that hit list, she has an extra week to get that power that she needs to then flip the entire structure on its head that she's waited for the right time to strike for. And like, absolutely, it's not entirely her fault that her friends keep ratting her out, but it is her fault that she keeps trusting them, given that she has been ratted out by them so many times in the past.
Trusting them. It's insanity. It's just constantly, it's just doing the same thing over and over. She just goes and tells them more information, or like, you know, and they every time are like, I don't trust her. And I feel like they don't give her like anything back. They don't give her enough back to be like, oh, okay, we're in this together. I have information on them. They have information on me. They just like take in the information that she says and then immediately go tell someone.
This is the thing I mentioned this morning. She does not follow up. She has still not had a follow-up conversation with Jag. She talked to Jag, gave him a bomb in his lap. Like, this is a huge bombshell. Here it is, big information. And he lost his mind. It was a huge piece of information for him. He was, oh my God, what? I don't even know what to do with this. Like, that's huge. You need to communicate through that. You need to follow up. You need to, how are you feeling about this? When you know you've made that big of an impact, you need to keep talking to that person. And she knew that it didn't go well. She was like, it was kind of weird by the end. So go and talk to him again. Like, stop just like dropping these shells and then walking away and then waiting for like the meme with the girl with the fire behind her. Like, that's not how you play this game. Right. You know, she keeps going, like, she's like, hey, let's have a conversation late tonight. Which probably won't happen. And then she'll be like, well, we'll do it later the next day. And it's just like, no, the reason why Cirie has created this rat culture is that Cirie never stops talking. She's always checking in with people. She's always gathering information. And a lot of the other players in this game are just lounging about like, we'll talk later. Don't worry about it. You know, once every couple days is fine. Like, no, you need to be on top of this stuff. You can't just drop that in Jag's lap and then just wait around for him to rat you out. Go and talk to him the minute you wake up. Say, Jag, I know I dropped a lot on you last night. How are you feeling? Can we talk some more now that you've had some time to think about it? Like, don't let him have an hour and a half long conversation with Jared Stop.
Oh my God. We need to get Jared out of this house. I can't watch him on the feeds 1 minute longer. I'm so sick of him. I have to say, I just, his conversations just make me so irritated that I just can't do it. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah. The America of it all is funny because we can say all of these things about her and have rightful criticisms about her, but honestly, one HOH and she could turn something around. You know what I'm saying? Like the wall is coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like if this is the time, it's now. She needs to hang on to that wall like her life depends on it, because it does.
And that's why it's so vital that like she just needs a week or two of extra life in the game.
Exactly.
And like playing just enough ball, just like putting in a little bit of effort, like, you know, spend some of that time that you're just hanging out with Jag, which is giving you nothing in this game, and instead hang out with spend that time with Izzy and Sari, to hopefully just get 1 or 2 more weeks out of it, which would buy you enough time to hopefully get that HOH when you need, if you aren't able to win it next week.
If Jag was at all a decent player, like this would be so different, because we'd be like, I don't know.
But see,
it's so.
But Melissa, it's like, but you keep saying
it would have been different a long time ago.
Exactly. You keep saying if it was this would happen or if this would happen. It doesn't matter what if or when. Like Karen said, this is what the layout of the house is. This is the right culture of the house.
Terrible. Everyone is awful. There was only like one. There was one good player in this house. There was one good player, and that's Sari, and that's it. Everybody else sucks. And I hate to say that because I really, really, really want people to do well. I would love for people to do well, but it's just everyone is making bad decisions and not seeing everything that's happening around them. They're just totally oblivious to it. And that's why I keep saying, like, well, if this was different or if this was different, because they're all doing such horrible, bad things that it's shocking to me that they are doing that they're acting that way, that they're making these decisions. It's just shocking.
But it's because they are not flexible. Case in point, Jag. Jag just wants to find an alliance and ride to the end with, even though it's been 40 days proving that is not a strategy that can work in this house, because there are too many multiple alliances that can get thrown out the window every other week. So he is not adjusting his play, and he's still even trying to find comfort in his squad this morning. You know what I'm saying? Like a squad who's lying to him for his vote. You know what I'm saying? Like America wanting to make these big moves with no power. Like you have to adjust to the game in front of you. One person who does really well at adjusting to the game in front of him, even though he's had his pitfalls, is Corey. Corey recognized the layout of the house. He recognizes the rat culture of it all. He's taking information in. He's putting a lot of information out, but he's also finding his way through it. And he is the perfect example of, yes, if we're saying just go along with power structure right now, you got to strike from within. Like once you see something like this, you got to be that poison in the system. You can't, if you don't have the numbers, if you don't have the social capital, you can't be the head-to-head. You can't be the army on the other side, because you look behind you, there's nobody there. You have to infiltrate and you have to take down from the inside. Or you could put yourself in an oppositional spot and hope you win power. And that is where America is right now. And she has the ability that she might win. You know what I'm saying? So that's good. Corey, I think, is just in a better position than she is, just because he is seeing different things. He can make amends with people that he wouldn't have necessarily not worked with. We saw it with Jag. We're seeing it with Matt right now. Like he's working on these relationships that he's cultivating. And yes, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but at least he's playing with what he's given. Jared is horrendous because he is trying to mold the game to his own sight. Him and Cam are the same, two heads of the same coin, and Jared does it in this way that is very off-putting and makes absolutely no sense. So it's like, yes, some of these players are bad, but it's about adaptability. And that's the biggest thing. A lot of these people have shown that they can't adapt. And I don't care because it's fun to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like I truly don't care.
Yeah, and for me, the test of Corey's adaptability is that he said it 2 nights ago. He needs to stop throwing HOHs. And
Thank God.
if he lets Cam go next week because he's throwing an HOH, or maybe even he wins one and he targets Cam, he's a damn fool. Because he wanted to model his game after Kevin from BB Can 10. He wanted to find a Helena. I don't know how he hasn't realized yet that Cam is his Marty. You need to keep this guy.
Oh no.
That's true. But
yeah, I mean, we're all like, no, yep. Oh my God. Yeah, like honestly, Corey just needs to like drop Jared. Jared is just not good for his game. He needs to just stop thinking of him as an ally at all. Stop, like, tell him minimal information. Obviously, like, don't immediately be like, I'm against Jared or anything, but just minimal information, because Jared obviously is not good for Corey's game. He wants to target America. That whole thing where he's like telling Izzy and Corey, I'm targeting America ASAP because it's worse to not know if they're going to come after me than to know that someone's coming after me. What is that even about? Like, I honestly think the whole, like, I need to target America, telling Corey that, like, we need to get America out, I think it's like a superiority thing. I honestly think it is. I think it's like he wants to make Corey, like, he doesn't want Corey to have America like he has Blue. And so he has to convince everyone that, like, America is just, like, bad for everyone and we just need to get her out. I don't know. But it's so bizarre to me that he just is saying, the whole thing
it's just like Taran said, Jared is just mad that he feels that Corey isn't playing as hard as he is. That's all it is. Like, Jared has to put on this big song and dance for Cam this week to keep. I think the pressure of this week got to Jared, to be quite honest. I think Jared feeling like the weight of his mom's game, his team's game is on his back, and he's just pissed that he's the one who has to, like, carry and shoulder this load, and Corey and America are over there like, la, 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 they're all happy. I truly believe it's that. I think he was just truly mad that he's like, damn, I gotta work this week. You know what I'm saying? I can't be the one resting on my laurels while my mom does my dirty work. So yeah. And this is not an excuse for Jared. This is, like, for the whole house. I've said it before when I've been on with Taran. Everybody is hangry. Those people have brain fog. Corey losing almost 20 pounds. He almost lost as much as he is his age. And so, like, Jared is like, he is really feeling it. I can only imagine going from, like, eating 1,000 calories to, like, they said, like, 200 for slop or something like that. So everybody in that house is feeling it. And Big Brother knew this is going to happen. Big Brother is, y'all are messed up for this.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to some questions here. Let's talk through some of these. I did ask the audience to rank the players from their favorite to their least favorite. Do we have a guess at the top 3?
For favorite or least favorite?
For favorite.
Corey, America. I'll still say Suri.
I think
she nailed it. It's too late.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I was like. Those are my top 3, but I wasn't sure what order. So okay.
It's the same as last week. Pretty straightforward there. How about the bottom 3 though? I'll tell you. Last week it was Red, Jared, and Cameron.
Okay, so Jared's on the bottom, and then Cam, maybe.
And then Jared, Cam, and then Blue.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Finger on the pulse.
Coming for your title there, Melissa.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's more coming for Jacob Jones' title. The finger of the people. The finger of the people.
Oh, not the finger of the people.
The order here: Corey, America, Suri, then Izzy, who has jumped over both Felicia and Mimi to get into 4th place. Felicia and Mimi there in 5th and 6th place. Then Bowie, who has jumped over Jag and Blue. And then Jag, Matt, Blue, Cameron, Jared. Okay, rounding off the bottom there. So interesting stuff. Not a ton of changes, mostly just Izzy jumping up, Bowie jumping up, Blue and Jag falling down a bit. Because of everything that they've done this week. I asked the audience to rate the episodes this week. Last week they got a 5.7. This week they got a 6.8. It's quite high for episodes. I'm trying to think, like, I think we did have a good one on Sunday, right? Other than because
Yes.
other than this.
There are dangerous levels of stink emanating from the bathroom.
Emanating.
It was a pretty good episode. No comp in it. It was pretty fun. And then I'm trying to think, were there any other good episodes?
Was it Thursday? Because
we got a live
Thursday?
HOH. That was
live
fun.
HOH, yeah.
And then Wednesday's episode, I don't remember.
The week before.
I don't remember, honestly.
The veto that came on. Oh, Tiny Veto.
Tiny Veto.
Oh, yeah.
I love Tiny Veto, but it's cursed now.
Tiny Vito came home to daddy.
I don't like it.
Oh boy. I asked the audience to rate the feeds this week, and last week they were a 7.1. This week, 7.9. So back up a bit there, which I think is pretty fair. I asked the audience to rate the season as a whole so far. Last week was a 7.3, which had been down pretty considerably from the 8.0 the week before. This week, a little tiny bit of a rebound, a 7.4 this week. So not getting any worse, but not a huge improvement either.
That's all you can ask for.
Ask the audience to rate Cam's HOH reign. And this is an interesting one. Cam's HOH reign 4.0.
Oh, well, that's pretty good. I would have thought they would have gone lower.
I think that the result of it is not great, but the drama of him not telling anybody, even us, who he was nominating, and then nominating people, I think that's kind of fun. But yeah.
Listen, Cam did something to some people. They like daddy. And I'm still getting messages.
Yeah.
Taran, you don't understand the genius, the subtle genius of Cam. He still has a plan. He's had this plan all along. You're getting tricked by him like you have all week long. You don't understand. You don't see the vision. And I'm not even exaggerating. This is what
bizarre. The plan is over. He doesn't have a plan. His plan was like to backdoor Suri or something. And obviously Jared's not going to do that. So plan's done. Plan's over.
I said on Twitter, it's like the man wins one HOH. He blindsides the people and everybody act like he is the second coming. And here we are 2 days later, and it's like, oh no, he's not. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
There you go, Brady. Yeah.
All right. So I'm sure there's plenty more to talk about with Cam when we get to the ratings. I asked, did Jared make the right decision for his game with the veto? 91% say yes. I do feel like there is a world where using the veto to get Jag on the block might have been the better play. I think that given how much influence he did have over Cam at the time, I think he could have made it happen. So, maybe he should have pushed a little harder there. It did come with a lot of risk, so I would understand why you wouldn't want to. But I think it wasn't quite as slam dunk a move as it appeared to be.
Yeah. It's just like you couldn't trust Cam. Like Cam not telling people or lying to people about who his noms were kind of like shuts down any type of negotiation with the veto holder. Like even if it wasn't Jared this week who won the veto, if I won the veto in that house, I wouldn't be like quick to use it because I'd be too afraid about who he put up. I truly wouldn't believe who he said he would put up because I would be afraid for whoever my next closest ally is. So Cam kind of screwed himself on that.
Yeah. Ask the audience, who do you want to be evicted this week? 59% of the audience would prefer Felicia be evicted this week.
Okay. I'm gonna miss her
This
so
is
much.
tough. I know it's a tough one because I really don't want. I don't want Felicia to go because she's so funny and she's so fun to watch on the feeds, and I love all the cooking stuff and I love all the grocery requests and all that, and it's just awesome. But Izzy is just. I do feel like she's a driving force in a lot of the strategy, which I feel like is very interesting stuff. So I don't really want either of them to go. Like, I feel like I like the idea of like a shot being taken at like the other side, quote unquote, but like I don't really actually want either of them to go. I want Jared to go. So, this is not ideal for me.
Yeah. Well, it was a pretty close vote. I don't think anybody had super strong feelings one way or the other on that one. Finally, who do you want to see win HOH next week? And last week, America ran away with it with 60% of the vote. This week, America is still running away with it, 54% of the vote. Still a majority of the vote in a field of like 10 participants, or I guess 11 because we still are including both Felicia and Izzy. But huge number for America. 16% would like Corey to win. 13% would like Izzy to win. And we have a huge surge for Bowie, who last week only had 2% of the vote, now in 4th place with 7% of the vote.
I voted for Mimi.
Mimi was 5th place with 5% of the vote. I actually think, I think that we released that who's going to be the next like comp beast video. I actually I think Mimi is going to start winning comps soon. I think she's going to start, especially if Cam leaves. Like, I feel like Mimi's going to start cleaning some of this stuff up. But we'll see. I don't know. Just a random read there.
I would love that.
All right. Are we ready? Should we rate the players?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here we go. Let's do it. This is, of course, the portion of the podcast where we rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they are doing in the game. We then use those ratings to influence the price of the players in the stock market on realitystockwatch.com. And we ask the audience as well to rate the players. You have 2 minutes if you still want to do it over there on Twitter. But the audience gives a rating as well.
To go lower than that. Like, I don't know what to do. I feel like we've never had this problem before. Okay, I don't know.
All right. Well, let's get it going then. We're going to start with America. And, things aren't looking super great for America. I think that there's an underrated skill in Big Brother that is the, like, how to properly, like, rat things out skill. And when I say rat things out, not like the go to people and tell them information. I'm talking about the, like, change somebody's mind on the structure of the house by ratting out everything that's been happening. Tell them the story of why their game sucks and why they need to change it. The biggest example of this, of course, is Dan Giesling, The Funeral. He lays out weeks worth of information to Frank because he's been prepping for this moment. He knew that he would have to do this someday as a last, as a last minute resort. And he's been plotting out how he wants to present this information to Frank. America and Corey have been also plotting out how they need to, at some point, probably drop a bunch of information on people like Jag and Cam and whoever. However, I don't think that she is doing a very good job of doing this. When America talks to Jag and she's like, we can't trust Blue. It's like, why? She ratted us out to Izzy. When? Today. Why didn't Izzy talk to me? Why did Izzy talk to you? I don't know. Why would Blue do this? I don't know. She probably didn't have bad intentions. She probably just has a big mouth. Do you have any evidence of this? Izzy knew. Like, you're not painting the picture that you need to paint. And I was saying at the time, I think this, now you're dropping this, you should also drop 7 Deadly Sins at this point. You need to give the full rundown of, Jag, here's where you are in all of this. This is why you're in a bad position. This is why you need to listen to me and actively change what you're doing. I think the problem is that, like, there's so much information in the house that it's hard to retain all of it in order to drop it on somebody like Jag. It's hard to give Jag the full rundown of everything that's been going on. America did do a much better job with Cam when she started dropping that information because it was much less information. It was a very clear storyline. Last week, you were the target. Jared ruined your relationship with Red. You won the veto. They took out Red because they were worried that he would rekindle things with you. Jared's been playing you this whole time. Blue's been ratting me out. And it all kind of fit into a nice narrative, and it worked on Cam, but it's not working on Jag. And I feel like if you're going to do this, you need to plot out how you're going to do it. You can't just like rush into this conversation and just start spilling things.
Question: does Corey know she ratted out to Cam?
To Cam, I don't think they've had a conversation like specifically about how much she has ratted out to Cam, but Cam has talked to Corey, and told him, hey, like, Jared is coming for you. Like, I hope you know. And Corey is still trying to talk America down on the whole, like, I mean, the whole Izzy situation. He knows that she's campaigning for Izzy. I don't think he knows either how much Jag ratted out yet, or how much she told Jag and how much Jag ratted out. Luckily, Jag has not said, I think, that Corey is who told America that Jared was going to put her and Jag on the block. I don't know if he just, again, there was so much information, he might not have caught it or he might not remember it. But it's, again, there's so much that gets passed around that I think people lose the thread of it, which I think is another, like, probably unintentional strength of the current power structure that Cirie has, which is that they're so messy at times and there's so much back and forth that trying to put together a cohesive narrative for what they're doing is very difficult. I would know. And so somebody in the house trying to do essentially what I'm doing to present to somebody else is really tough. It's a really difficult thing. And so,
and then add that Cirie and them do stuff just on a whim as well. So like, with no explanation.
So, you know, on top of everything else we've already talked about with America, the biggest concern is that Jared is just absolutely done with her. And even Izzy and Cirie, who were thinking that they would like keep her around a bit longer, just today we're talking about, we kind of feel like maybe even America before Jag at this point. Not only because Jared has a problem with America and she keeps running around and doing all this stuff, but she's also getting closer to Corey, and that's a concern. And if Jag is so bad at the game that even Blue is turning on him, then he's actually not that much of a threat. And so the point here is that if Cameron wins the veto next week, either America or Jag is very likely going to go home, and it very well could be America. And even if that doesn't happen and Jag stays in the game, or Jag does leave next week, she's still at the top of the hit list if she doesn't win a comp, and she can't even rely on Jag at this point to be a person that could win and keep her safe. So this was initially a good looking week for America. I mean, there was a shot taken, but her position overall has kind of fallen. And she's been a little messy. Now, this could completely turn around if she wins an HOH, as we've talked about. There's a lot of ways the entire game could flip, and this rating is in part in anticipation of that, because there might be a huge turnaround. But for now, I have to give her a 3.
Yeah.
Melissa, I think, is getting attacked by various creatures.
And then my dogs are barking and it's a nightmare. So I'm going to give my rating, and then I'm going to like turn off my camera and try and get this mosquito, because I feel like it would be very funny to watch on cam, but I don't want to distract. Yeah, I feel the same about America. Unfortunately, I want her to do well, and I feel like she's she's at least doing something, and she's trying, and she's putting things out there. But like you said, it's just the way she's doing it is not right. She has too much faith in people that are not good for her game, that are not trusting her. Jared is on a war path to try and get her out, which is not good for her. Because I feel like if he wins HOH, or if he just keeps like going on about it, people are gonna be like, okay, fine, whatever, we'll get out of America, I don't care. And that's gonna be a problem. So honestly, this is I'm gonna give her a 3 again, but it's a low 3, and it could go down next week. So I'm gonna try and get this mosquito.
Would you rather fight one giant mosquito? Do you like your yeah. So I drag America like all the time on my Twitter, mostly because I feel like she is a competent player with bad positioning that, you know, that wants to kind of make good TV. You know what I'm saying? Like I hate to say it, like I don't want to say like she comes off fake or anything like that. What I'm saying is she knows, as one of us, as a feature, as a super fan, like what we want to see. We don't want to see the massive power structure stay intact, run the game, blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's wrong to say that her decisions in the game might be affected by how she perceives what we are perceiving. You know what I'm saying? But I also like that she has that fiery, like fire to her, that she doesn't want to lay down. She doesn't want to roll over. Now she needs to figure out a more productive way to put that energy into the game. And I think she can do that if she gets some power. I'm still mad at her for throwing the pressure cooker. Like I'm still mad at her for that, because I think that would have been a perfect time for her to win power, for her and Corey to consolidate, for them to kind of make something happen, and to just give up that power to a man that she didn't know what he was going to do with it, just for him to waste it it's still what gets on my nerves. So I say all that to say that I think America, as long as she can survive, she always has that opportunity to change her lot. And that is like a better thing we can say about some of these other players than we can say about some of these other players. You know what I'm saying? So we'll give her a 3, because that's what her positioning dictates. But I still have faith in her, if that makes sense. But also I want to drag her. Like it's the Tyra Banks, like, we're rooting for you. We're all rooting for you. I'm yelling at you because I love you type thing. But also, girl, stop. So
Yeah, I think America's interesting for me because she is in a position where the right HOH result and the right like gameplay next week combined could shoot her up. Like this is one of those things where it's like normally down here, like you're not going to be moving up too much. You know, normally the money is made in the Stockwatch in the upper regions, the players who are doing well. But this is genuinely a situation where I do think America could make a decent jump up with the right circumstances next week. However, it requires the right circumstances, and if she doesn't have those circumstances, then things are looking quite dire. The audience is feeling America a little bit more than we are. They gave her a 5 last week, gave her a 5 again this week. So the audience preventing you from seeing major gains on an America big jump up next week. So you can blame the audience for that if you don't make as much money if you decide to go in on America. Let's then move on to Blue. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Blue?
I'm giving Blue a 2 again. Blue is just not. She's not doing a good job. She's ratting out everyone that she shouldn't be ratting out. She's just like not acting in her own interest. And she doesn't see her position in the game, and she's not really doing much. And yeah, yeah, she's not. Yeah, that's it. That's a 2.
Well, Blue is one of those players where it's like positioning versus gameplay. Blue's gameplay is horrendously bad, but her positioning is actually very good. I know we want her to cultivate a side alliance or something, like at least people that she can trust to have in her back pocket that aren't attached to the main power structure. I get that. However, currently the main power structure have her at least figured into like what, final 5-ish, final 7-ish. Like, yeah, it sucks. We hate seeing her stuck to Jarrett's side. We hate seeing him like basically run her game because she tells him everything. We hate to see her beg him to be his girlfriend on live television. But currently, Blue is in a better position than your Americas, your Jags, your Camerons. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a 2 for gameplay, but her positioning is not bad. Like, again, I know everybody wants a shake up and everyone's like, oh, Mariama loves to read. Yes, I do. But also, you can't just take, it's like Survivor. This is like Survivor. You can't just make big moves to make big moves. You have to make the big moves that propel you forward. If anything, this week should have taught us all of that. Cameron made a big move. And yes, it was shock. It was awe. And yes, a favorite is going this week. But did he actually propel his game forward? No. Did he restructure the house? No. Did he reshape anything, any alliances? No. You know what I'm saying? So making a big move doesn't matter. It's how you make that move. What's the timing of it all, you know? And I don't know if Blue I can't say that with a straight face. Blue will just ride till she can't ride no more, but at least she's in a pretty good position right now. She has at least 2 to 3 good weeks, at least guaranteed right now. So anything could happen within those 3 weeks. I'm gonna give Blue a 3. I'm gonna give Blue a 3 because she's right there with America. I'm gonna give her a 3.
A 3 from Mari.
Taran is so mad at me right now.
We're gonna get a rare. The audience is lower on Blue than
Well, they just dislike Blue. Like, it's
a 2 from the audience. And I'm going to disagree with you, Mari. I think that Blue's positioning is trash. Because getting to the final 6, final 5 matters nothing if you have 0 chance to win the game. And Blue has 0 chance to win the game.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
She is getting there with not only a group of people that will actively not take her to the final 2, but also a group of people she couldn't win against in the final 2, even if she did somehow manage to get there. And she is actively working to put herself into that position by ratting out her only friends and allies on a consistent basis. She's been tricked into thinking that like Jag is somehow against her. The guy who has been told that she's against him and refuses to believe it is against her and not loyal to her. She is so horrendously bad at this game. It couldn't be anything other than a 1.
I agree. I see it. Like I said, this game is funny. It can break it either way at this point. But you're right. That is a great point. If she's getting to the final 2, there is nobody that she sits next to that she'll get the win.
I mean, maybe Bowie.
Yeah,
but even then, like Cam's on the jury, Corey's on the jury. Like, I think there are people that would genuinely vote Bowie over Blue. And let's face it, there's no world where the 2 of them are in the final 2. Like, it's just not happening right now.
Yeah, Blue is definitely a recruit. As somebody said, like that, and that's the thing. She's a recruit. She wants to get as far as possible, and then it doesn't really matter to her. I get it. I get it.
All right, let's move on then to Bowie herself. Mari, how do you feel about Bowie?
I mean, I like Bowie. I like that she's like waking up, should I say. I like that she woke up this week. I like that she's not just taking this blind side laying down. I like that she's like, you know what? I'm free. this is freeing. I'm free now, you know? Um, she's very interesting. She's a very eclectic person. Like I said, I don't like the fact that she lied about her age, because people keep wondering, like, why are Suri and them, why don't they trust Bowie Jane? It's like you get caught in that one lie, and then it could just really like spiral and make people distrust anything else you say. And lying about facts about yourself, especially in Big Brother, people like look for that and can find you disingenuous. So, well, and I think that's the biggest thing. They found her very disingenuous for a long time. That doesn't excuse the way that they've been treating her and all of that. Um, but Bowie herself again has cultivated this air around herself where she didn't want to talk about game or gameplay. She was the wet blanket of the gameplay. And when you cultivate that air, people are going to be mad at you about it. But now she's waking up. She's talking to Cameron. She's talking to everybody. Her and America had a really good game talk. She's waking up. So just because she's waking up and she's figuring some things out, I'm gonna give her a 4. I'm gonna give Bowie a 4. I'm very, very, very interested to see what she does next week. We saw she had a good talk with Suri. I don't know. I don't know, Taran, if you have any confirmation, like if she did a cam talk or anything. That conversation seemed to end very well, but I don't know if she then goes to Cam and be like, "Oh, Suri, this," you know. So
Yeah, I'm curious. Bowie's not really a super deceptive player, so I don't have any
mhm,
reason to believe that she's like faking it to Suri, where I don't think
right,
she really would be. That said, it doesn't mean that it's permanent. Like
right.
she already did have this kind of talk with Suri right after the eviction, and she was like, "Oh,
That's
Suri's
true.
good," and then
Mhm,
was able to be talked out of that
mhm,
again. So you know, Cam has a lot of dirt on Suri right now, so he might be able to get her back over if she has been convinced by Suri. But this is also Suri that we're talking about, so you know it's unclear to me right now. And
right.
if anybody's curious, what we're talking about is that Suri had like an hour long conversation with Bowie earlier today, where she really was like, "Hey, I'm sorry for what happened," um, Bowie did her normal, like, "You guys pushed me away. I never wanted to work with Cam. I wanted to work with you guys, but you wouldn't have me." And Suri did a very good job of being like, "Well, that's our mistake, and we would love to work with you now," and so on and so
Mhm,
forth. And so it seems as though you know, Suri is working on this, but we'll have to wait and see if any. Oh, I'm being told in the chat that she did talk to Cam about the conversation. So
okay.
during this podcast. We'll see. Either way,
Okay.
I can't factor that in right now because I'm still unsure about the outcome of it. I'm gonna judge
Mhm.
personally based on the Bowie that we've seen, you know, up until basically today.
Right. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah. So I think she's on the rise depending on um how this week goes, cuz also I don't know if she's currently left out of the vote, that the vote is not there to get Izzy out.
Well, so
Um
Suri was telling her that Izzy's staying and she doesn't want her to be
okay.
left out on the vote. So I don't know if she told that to Cam. I don't know
Mhm.
what where she's gonna be at with that at this point, but yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So TBD, but
Yeah.
not too bad. I'm glad to see she woke up a little bit.
Well, the audience does agree with you, actually. Last week they gave Bowie a 3, and this week they gave Bowie, I kid you not, a 3.50 on the dot, meaning
Mm,
it's a 4 from the audience.
nice.
And I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna give Bowie a 4 as well. I think that she has done a decent enough job this week. I think that the way that she's behaved, while not like the best gameplay in the world,
Mhm.
has shown people in the game that she has a spine. And that's important because if she is in a
Yeah.
final two with somebody like Blue, it's weeks like this that will give her the credit that she might need to win some jury votes. And I like that she's open to talking with people and playing the game and you know, trying to make connections. Like there's some good stuff that's happening. Her game is still not like great. She's getting right now, she's still like a 3 positionally, but like she's getting a little bit of a boost because she's really been doing an okay job this week. So it might go back down to a 3 next week, just with no other changes. But for now, I'm gonna boost her up there to a 4. What do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Bowie is. I'm just glad that Bowie's like eyes have been opened this week. I don't think it made any sense to blindside her like that and leave her out of the vote. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. But she was like a loyal soldier, so it really doesn't, whatever. But the point is now that that's happened, I think that was actually good for Bowie, because now Bowie can, you know, do something on the side and realize, oh, my position wasn't that good. Now I actually have to do something. So there's that element of it. Plus the conversation with Suri where she was like, oh no, I'm not mad, you know, trying to like get back in, quote unquote. But the fact that she then told Cam about supposedly the talk, you know, I think that's a good sign, because it's not like she's fully like, oh, I'm back together with them, we're all good now, like Jag would be. Instead, she's keeping in the back of her mind, like, oh yeah, they all blindsided me. So I think that's honestly good for her. We'll see where that goes next week. So I'm going to give her a 4.
All right, there you go. Bowie Jane with some 4s. Let's move on to Cameron. This is an interesting one. Famously, in Big Brother 21, Jessica won an HOH, took a big shot, big swing at the power structure, and had one of the biggest jumps in the history of the Stockwatch, biggest swings, as the audience went high on Jessica, and I was the buzzkill. I said, listen, it's a very fun move, but she's still playing the same way that she was playing before, and ultimately she has not taken advantage of this HOH to position herself into a better spot in the game. And while I think it was still good, it's still, you know, I was being a buzzkill, but I was also right. That's kind of how I felt this week at the beginning of the week, when everyone was like, you Cam, let's go, he's a genius. And I was like, guys, just because he didn't do the really bad thing that we thought he was going to do doesn't mean that he's done a good thing. And I think that we've seen that play out through the week. That even he now has sort of realized that he has messed up, and quite honestly messed up far more than Jessica ever did. She at least got the 2 guys on the block and took one of them out. She didn't nominate Jack with Annalise, you know, and then Annalise went home. Like, that's not great. So it's very bad. And, you know, before the veto thing happened, it was like, there's still an opportunity for him to turn this around. It seems like maybe we might not be super low. And then the veto thing happened, and he exposed that he was trying to put Suri on the block, and he was trusting Jared too much. And I was like, this is an easy one. Then America told him all this information. And even though it took him quite a while for it to settle in, he has now realized the position he's in the game and is actively working to correct it. And he's letting Jared come in and spill information, and pretending to Jared that he still is tricked by him. And I like that. Like, I am starting to like Cam's operation now, like as of today. And so because of that, I'm like seeing this little bit of like, okay, he played really terribly, but not as terribly as he could have played. And then he really messed up, and it was all due to his arrogance, but now he knows. So overall, I'm going to go with a 2. And sorry, I forgot to tell the audience's rating first. They gave him a 3. But I'm going to give Cam a 2 here. I think that like, listen, he is definitely the most likely person to leave next week, but he has a decent amount of outs. There are a few people right now that wouldn't target him if they won HOH. He has the ability to win the veto, and if he does survive, he becomes a serious problem for a lot of people. And so, you know, it was bad. There's a lot of stuff that was bad. I wasn't expecting to come onto the roundtable and not give him a 1. But, you know, I have to give him today because today he's done a good job. And he talked to Jag for a while, and Jag hasn't ratted him out. And it's like, okay, listen, all right, you get your 2. What do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a plus that his eyes have been opened this week, that he now knows, you know, not everything, obviously, but the fact that he's starting to come around to the idea that, oh, yeah, Jared's not on my side. And to know that he was the target last week, I feel like that really changes things for him. For me, it's way worse when the player is just completely in the dark. And one of the big reasons we gave him the 1 last week was because he was like, well, I'm not the target, Red's the target. And he was so convinced that he wasn't the target when all along he was. So for me, the fact that he's at least aware of what's going on is already better than a 1. So I don't think that he made the right move this week, and I also don't think he's in a position where next week, like, he's not going to be a target, unless maybe America or Corey or Bowie win the HOH. I really think he's in trouble next week. But, you know, at least his eyes are opened and he knows kind of who he can or can't trust. So for me, yeah, 2 as well. Hopefully it goes up, but who knows?
I don't want it to go up, but I want him to go out. Yeah, I'll definitely give Cameron a 2 for all of the things you guys said. That, and also, Taran, did you see the rumors on the streets about what the next 2 competitions are going to be?
I've heard.
Wall
I think I've seen the wall in OTEV.
and OTEV, yes. And if Cam is either on the block, which would be stupid if they put him on the block, but if he gets pulled and he has a chance at OTEV, that is a veto that he can win. You know what I'm saying? So he has put himself in a position where he must win in order for him to survive. And that's stupid. You should never do that to yourself. However, he does have the chops to be in that position. And now he has more knowledge behind his actual placement in the house. So yes, let's give him a 2. Let's see what happens next week. Again, my hope is he goes home. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, if that's true, if that really is the next 2 comps, and you know, who knows, with this sort of thing, but I couldn't think of 2 sort of better comp draws for him. Not that like it's difficult to get good comp draws for him, because unfortunately that is the state of the game. Only 2 women have won any comp, like only 2 competitions have been won by women all season long so far. But the wall is good primarily because somebody like America could potentially win it, and that would be good for Cam. And then obviously OTEV is a comp that he is not only physically capable of winning, but also isn't like the most physical comp in the world, and tends to reward people who know it and know the strategy, which he might, given how prominent it was shown, I think, last season. When Michael used the strategy, I'm pretty sure that was in the episode, right, where they showed his stockpiling. So yeah, I mean, that would definitely be a big advantage for him if it was, in fact, the case. And not to mention the fact that if America is used as a pawn, as is being talked about, I think she would straight up just choose Cam for the veto. Like, I don't know. It's possible she doesn't, for sure, because obviously it puts her in a weird position if he doesn't win, or if he. But here's the thing: if he doesn't win, he goes on the block. He goes home anyway. Like, I feel like you kind of do want to just choose him. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's move on to Suri. Talk about Suri. I mean, undeniably not the best week for Suri. Losing Felicia this early is not good. Cam staying in the game another week is not good. She dodges a bullet, mostly due to some excellent gameplay. But the fact that she had to dodge the bullet was not good. So it's a strange one for me. I think that like her position has definitely gone down from last week. Last week things were looking much better. If Cam was on the block this week, heading home, Felicia in the game, things would be looking way more positive for Cirie. Instead, a lot of damage was done via Jared. America is now like fully against them, actively working against them, sharing information now, starting to drop bombs. If Jag does win an HOH, even though he currently doesn't trust America and Corey, I guarantee you they're going to start dropping some serious stuff on him at that point, and then who knows what could happen from there. Corey now knows he can't trust Jared, which is bad for Cirie. There's a lot of reasons why this week has not gone super well for Cirie, and her position has deteriorated. However, a lot of the things that went right this week have been due to Cirie's gameplay. The setup that she did with Jared to Cam lasted just long enough for Cam to make the mistake that he did. The prepping for Felicia to be used as a scapegoat. The quick correction of Jared's mistakes over the last 48 hours as she got Corey back on board for the most part has all been very good. And we are seeing why she is so effective a player. So it's tricky. It's tricky, but I think the main thing for me is that despite the very good gameplay, I think the position is bad enough that like an America HOH could be devastating for Cirie's position. I think Cirie and Jared, Izzy and Jared might go up, and that would be awful. Things would really go wrong from there. And especially if it is a wall and America has a great chance, like that's not good. So definitely not quite in the untouchable position yet. However, if next week goes well, she could get there pretty quickly. But with the benefit of very good gameplay, I think I'm going to like average it out to a 7 here for Cirie, which is back down to where I was on her in week 4. I feel like she ultimately, I mean, when it comes down to it, caught an unlucky break this week with Cam winning HOH, but it has done a ton of damage to her position. And she's back in that like not quite locked in spot that she was in a couple weeks ago. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the fact that now there are like many people, I guess, who are aware of what Cirie is doing, or aware of, the fact that Cirie is running the game or whatever. And the fact that she's losing Felicia, although I guess Cirie doesn't really consider Felicia an ally anymore because of, behind the back talking or whatever. Felicia
Whether she liked Felicia as an ally or not, Felicia was a good ally.
That's the thing. But that's what I'm saying, is that she thought of her as maybe not an ally, but she was a good ally to her. And so I feel like it's not beneficial for Cirie to have Felicia go home, for sure not. And I think like to no fault of Cirie's own, really, when she was tied up with Felicia in the kayak or the canoe or whatever, the kayak, like things all started to fall apart because Jared, went and did his own thing. But that's not necessarily Cirie's gameplay, but I do feel like it was not good for Cirie's game this week. But obviously the second that it's, she gets out of the kayak, she's able to pull everything back together and, rein it all in. I thought that her conversation with Bowie, even if Bowie is hesitant about working with Cirie, I thought that it was really well done. So yeah, I tend to agree. I want to give Cirie a 7 as well.
Yeah, and somebody asked just really quickly about like why isn't she getting the gameplay boost? She is, for me at least. Like positionally, it's like more like a 6, but I'm giving her the boost to a 7 because she's playing very well. And I also suspect that things are gonna work out for her. Go ahead, Maury.
Yes. So Cirie, I can't believe, like everybody kept saying, what would happen if Cirie wasn't here this season? What could have happened? We found out we found out she was basically out of commission gameplay wise for 48 hours. Did y'all like that? Did y'all have fun that 48 hours? I didn't. I'm glad she's back. I'm glad she's bringing, it's almost like when Cirie was out of commission for that 48 hours, even like Corey and America kind of like stop gaming a little bit for 48 hours and kind of just schmozzed, you know? But it was the minute that America was like, oh, Cerie's back on it. I gotta be back on it. It's almost like that yin and yang of like, you need that dominating force to have other people want to like be a force as well. But I say all to say I agree with 100% everything that Taran said. Honestly, this week, all of Cerie's missteps from the past 5 weeks caught up with her. Like literally down the line. We kept saying, like I know I was saying it every time I was on the roundtable. I was like, this is a misstep, but guess what? It's Cerise. She'll get through it. And she did, and then she didn't this week. This literally every voting out Heisem instead of Cameron, check. Like voting out Red and not telling, check. Like everything, saving Jag, every little misstep that we were like, yo, this is really not good for Cerise's game, but it's cool. She'll work it through. It came back on her this week, and it was like a direct hit, but it's not something that'll sink the ship just yet. It's like she is limping into harbor. This next HOH and this next shot will really be the determining factor on where her game goes, or if it comes to an end. So I will also give Cerie a 7.
All right, there you go, a 7 from Mari. The audience, another very close vote, a 7.51 from the audience, which means an 8 from the audience. But a 7 overall. So I think this might be the average lowest point, the lowest average score Cerie has gotten thus far this season. And it can either bounce back up or come down from here, depending on an HOH result. She does have the numbers, but in a wall comp, I mean, just to quickly go over this, I would imagine in the wall comp, like her best bet is Mimi. And if Mimi doesn't win, like we're looking
Blue.
at who? Like maybe Blue. I think America's in there, and that's not good. Jag's in there, but I'm not sure.
Matt? Could Matt pull it out?
Matt,
it is.
Depending on the wall comp.
Depending
if it's
on
one that like big dudes can do well at, which has been the case recently, that's good. If it's more of a classic wall comp, then not as much. So she does at least have those two things covered. But yeah, you know, so I think her odds are still good for the HOH. But you know, it's still a little risky. It's also the sort of thing where like people are like, well, Matt's throwing, but I don't know that Matt would throw while America's still up there. And it's the kind of comp that you know who you're throwing it to. So we'll see. All right, let's move on then to Corey. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Corey?
I think he's in kind of a similar spot as he was last week, which is not great, but maybe not horrible. I'm concerned about his connection with America, because, you know, Jared wants America out, and now, you know, Cerie and Izzy are talking about needing to get America out sooner rather than later. I do want to give Corey credit, because when America gave him that information, he was able to take it in and be like, oh, my position is bad. I'm actually going to try for HOH now, which is key. We need Corey to try for HOH. Same with America. So I think, I thought I gave him a 4 last week, so I was going to give him another 4. Now I'm like, I think because he maybe recognizes his spot, I'm going to bump him up a little, and I'm going to give him a 4.
All right, Mari.
I think is this weird to say? I kind of feel like Corey is in a better position this week than he was last week. Like,
I agree.
Way better. Yeah, because Cam is now awakened because of America. So Cam is really now pushing to work with Corey, even though Corey offered him that olive branch when he won HOH, and Cam kind of batted it away at the time. But Corey is in a pretty good position because his eyes have been completely woken up to Jared. And he's at least looking at Jared with some hesitancy a little bit more now. even if he's okay with sticking with the crossroads for now. He also has kind of opened his eyes to Cirie, but Cirie did an even better job of being like, Corey, these guys, right? These guys. So and he's still always been tight with Izzy. Corey's focused on strengthening his relationships with Matt and Jag. He's finally on that track to trying to want to work with him again. Who knows where that leads, because Matt is still very loyal to Cirie, but I don't think it hurts his position. You know, Matt was considering, I think, putting up Corey in America at one point. So let's see if Corey getting close to him actually helps, you know? So all that being said, Corey himself could probably win that wall comp as well if he's no longer throwing, because that man is light now. I've seen the before and after of like what he looked like when he walked in and what he looks like now. I like give that man a sandwich. That's not cool. He looks so he lost so much weight. But anyways, Corey could potentially win, and Corey's plans if he win is kind of to ride the middle, which for him works. Now, will he have America in his ear all week and take the shot, take the shot, take the shot? Probably. I would still want to see what Corey looks like with some power. Like I truly, truly want to see it. I think this would be the perfect week to do so, because there's still enough cannon fodder in the house that he could get rid of somebody without having to completely show his hand to either side. So yeah, I think Corey's good. I'm optimistic. I'm gonna give him a 5. He's doing really well at adapting. Like it felt like he got kind of preoccupied with the showmanship with America, and he's still on that track a little bit, but I like that he is like opening his eyes. He's back to kind of game playing, and I think I have a lot of faith going forward with him. Like I have a lot of faith in him, which again, I can't say the same thing for a lot of these people. Yeah, that's me.
All right. Well, the audience last week gave Corey a 6, which I found to be a bit dramatic. And but I do agree with Mari. I think his position has improved this week. And yet the audience has gone down to a 5 this week. I don't understand them.
I'm sorry, Taran, this isn't his third have-not week, right? Nobody was have-nots last week.
No.
Nobody was have-not. It was just he was a have-not the prior week before that. Sorry, I kept seeing that on Twitter. I'm like, guys, that's not true. Nobody was a have-not last week. That's why they did this whole house have-nots.
Yeah, because yeah. Can we talk though about like how he still hasn't like shaken the cough that it went around at the beginning of the season? Like he's still coughing.
Yeah, he's still coughing.
It's so bad that I like keep comparing him to a Victorian child, like a Victorian, like little sickly, like Tiny Tim. I feel so bad for Corey. Like, give him a steak, big brother. Mr. B, give Corey a steak. Not Mimi steak, his own steak.
So yeah, I think Corey's listen. No matter what else happened this week, Corey's position improves dramatically with Felicia gone. Felicia was one of the biggest people saying his name on that side. With Felicia gone, it eliminates one of the best options that side had to bring down to the end, which means that his position just automatically improves. So that alone is huge for him. On top of that, his eyes have been opened a little bit more than they had before. He's talking about trying to win the HOH. That's very good. I don't know that I trust what he would do with it. I don't know that he's necessarily playing better this week at this point. However, what America is doing, on one hand, could be bad for him. On the other hand, is a great kind of like, yeah, you go take the risk over there. If it goes wrong, I don't know you. Which is kind of, I think, what might happen, right? Like, which could work out for him. On like, if it means he loses America, that's bad for him. And America rising in the target list is bad for him. But overall, things have gone well. And like, if his worst case scenario right now, which it seems to be, is that he loses America earlier than he wanted to, that's not the worst thing in the world, because he's still in the position to ride it out to a mid to late game with a bunch of people he has a good chance at beating in endgame comps, which has always been the fallback. It would just be better if he had that fallback with America still there, with maybe one other ally that was winning comps with him. But positionally, things have gone very well for him. I still have a ton of criticisms for just the overall gameplay that he operates with. I think that the way that he is like working against America right now is not good for them. Like, yes, it means that she can sort of do what she's doing and he can have his hands clean, but actively working against each other is not effective. He should be communicating with her more. They should be communicating more together collectively so that they can get more on the same page. Even if they have separate goals, they can at least be on the same page about how they're going to go about these things. And I think that ultimately he just still trusts Izzy too much, and he might be bought in back in a little too much with the current structure. I don't know that he knows the urgency with which he needs to maybe take a little bit of a shot. So lots of like little criticisms for Corey overall, but I do agree his position has improved, and he is on the verge of like, if America does win, I would really hope he doesn't get in her way and he lets her just take the wild shot. And if Jared leaves on an America HOH, it's incredible for him. Yeah, sure, they'll be pissed at Corey for not stopping it, whatever. What can they do about it after Jared's gone? Jared is a huge source of their power. Like, he'll get back in with Izzy eventually if he's given time. And like, things can really work out in his favor if something like that happens. So he's also on the verge of potentially going up, but also, you know, who knows? I'm going to give him a 5. All right, let's move on to Felicia. Mari, how are you feeling about Felicia?
Mr. B, we need a power or something for Felicia. No, I love Miss Felicia. I'm sad that her game is like coming to an end here. You know, I got it. She is on the block. She is more than likely like going out. She's doing the best that she can to try and fight the tide, but the people who started the tide started a week and a half ago. You know what I'm saying? Covertly. So I'm gonna miss her. I'm gonna miss her as a character, as a personality, as like a mother figure in the house, listening to her crack jokes, you know, just her wit, bringing something to Big Brother that I don't think we've seen ever. Maybe for me personally, I don't think I've seen anybody like Felicia. She reminds me of about a lot of my family, you know. So this is my eulogy for Miss Felicia. Oh, that's kind of dark. But anyways, I'm gonna give her a 1 because I gotta be fair. I think she's going home. I know. That's not fun. Oh, but yes, and I hope she will be embraced lovingly by the community. I hope. And thank you for her contribution. This will not be the same season without her. It truly won't be.
All right. Well, the audience a little more generous in their Felicia rating. They gave her a 3.
Oh,
this
yay.
week. 3 from the audience. And I think I sort of understand where that comes from. I wouldn't personally give Felicia a 1 here, even though I do think it's looking quite bad for her.
Yeah.
I would say there's maybe 2 major factors in why I wouldn't give her 1. One is that I don't think it is completely locked. I do
Yes,
think there's
that's
still
true.
a chance this vote could flip. There's a lot of pressure going in different directions, and Corey is the main blockage right now. But if Corey got unstuck because information came out that changed his mind in the next, like, 2 days, everything spills out from there. So that's a risk for Izzy, at least.
Mhm.
And then number 2, even though I do put a lot of the blame on her for the position that she's in, she had been sloppy here and there. And She put too much trust in her allies and didn't branch out and make relationships on the other side like many of them did. Like many of the people who have fallen in this game, she was too content to be loyal to her allies. This is not a season where loyalty benefits you. And so this is not going to work out well for Felicia. At the same time, it's not like she did anything horrendously bad to put herself in this spot. It's not like she's jagging it up right now. You know,
I can't wait.
so her biggest error ultimately was going to Jared, and that is the thing I'll give her the most leniency on, which is because, of course, how could she know that how terrible a mistake that was? So I'm going to give her a 2. I do think it's looking pretty dire for her. I do think she has put herself in this position to some degree, but I'll also give her a little bit of leniency and a little bit of the fact that, hey, this vote still could theoretically change. What do you think, Melissa?
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest issue with her gameplay is the fact that she doesn't know that connection. I mean, Izzy knows that connection. So Izzy already has a leg up above Felicia because Izzy knows not to talk bad about Jared to Suri and not to talk bad about Suri to Jared, or not even talk bad, but just like strategize against them. Being like, okay, well, we need to get Jared out at some point, or we need to get Suri out at some point. Like, she knows not to do that. Whereas Felicia, I mean, the logical thing is to say, yeah, well, we are going to have to get Suri out at some point, or we are going to have to get Jared out at some point. And Felicia said that, and now, you know, that's a problem. And she didn't, how is she to know? So I think Felicia had the right idea, but obviously in this specific situation, it's just not going to work out for her. There's still a chance that she stays. I don't think she's dead in the water here. So I think I'm going to agree and give her a 2.
All right. Let's move on then to Izzy, also on the block. We got the block buddies next to each other here. We'll start with the audience. The audience consistently has been relatively high on Izzy. They gave her a 5 2 weeks ago. They gave her a 6 last week. And now that she's on the block, another close vote, a 4.52. They gave her a 5 this week, which unfortunately I again can't co-sign. I do agree with some of Mari's points from earlier. I do think that this has been one of her better weeks of gameplay. I think that she has, and maybe it's playing in proximity to Suri. Maybe it's the natural thing that sometimes happens with players where they learn and get better over time. But I do think that she's been improving as a strategic player in the game. However, she's still very much playing for Suri. And she's locking herself more and more into that mindset. When questioned by Corey about, like, don't you want to play selfishly? She really thought about that. And there's a thing in psychology where you can, by questioning somebody's beliefs, lock them deeper into their beliefs, because like a light challenge will only further like enmesh themselves into the defensive stance of, no, this is what I believe. And it seems like that's what happened here, where she was like, should I be playing more selfishly? No. And here's why. I am playing selfishly. She like locked herself in this logic trap of like, playing selfishly means that I'm playing for Suri because Suri is going to help me get further in the game. And of course, the obvious rebuttal to that is further doesn't mean winning the game. And where is your winning game? And so I'm still going to be criticizing her for that. Number 2, she is on the block. And if not for the grace of Suri's gameplay, probably, and a Jared veto win, probably would have been the one going home this week, which is definitely a bullet dodged. So it's tough. I want to give Izzy a little bit of a boost because I do think that she did a good job campaigning this week. I think she's done a good job trying to maintain, like, without Suri there, she was trying to like rein everything in, and she was doing a halfway decent job of it, but unfortunately couldn't control Jared. So like I wanna boost her a little bit, but then at the same time, she's also on the block and could theoretically go home this week. And so I think overall, I'm gonna keep her at a 4. But if she keeps improving her gameplay, I might be willing to boost it up in the future. So it's a 3 for me. Melissa, what do you think?
I think I am willing to boost her up because I do think that she's handled being on the block really well. She's not making any argument like apparent for like, well, we got to get her out. She's freaking out. She's telling the people this and that or doing anything unusual or out of the norm. Like she makes it seem easier to keep her than it is to keep Felicia. And I think, she held it together pretty well without Cirie, and then Cirie comes back, and you can tell how Cirie feels so good with Izzy. Like I just feel like Izzy's protected in a lot of ways, and so I do have to give credit for that. Obviously, she's still on the block; she still could go home this week, but I'm willing to give her a 4.
Yeah, also, just briefly, something I forgot to mention, that everything that I said about Cirie's position deteriorating also applies to Izzy's position. Like, Izzy's also in a potentially precarious position heading into next week if the wrong person wins the HOH, even if she does survive this vote. So all of that also applies, and sort of, again, is one of the reasons why it's preventing me from bumping her up, despite the increase in actual, like, good gameplay from her. But Mari, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought you said you were gonna give her a 4. You have a 3 up here.
I gave her a 3. I might have said 4, and then I might have said 3.
Okay, cool.
But
Just
I gave her a 3.
asking. Okay, so yes, like I said, all of the points stand about Izzy. I think I saw a really good game player in her today. I think she's always been social. I think people just kind of really latch on, and it's so fun to make the jokes about like, oh, Izzy is with her mother, she's looking for her mother. But one of the first things that I remember thinking when I saw the feeds on night 1 was like, wow, Izzy is like really connecting with like a lot of people, so she has the chops. She's just the positioning is failing, and her not winning anything is really weighing on her a lot. You can tell it's really hitting her heavily. So I'll give her a 4 as well. Like Melissa did. Her positioning's not that great right now because of Cam's week, but anything can happen next week and she could be right back on top. So we'll see. I'm pulling for her. I'm a big Izzy fan. I'm a huge Izzy fan. I think she is so funny to me. Like watching her on feeds is so hilarious to me. I just love the energy that she brings. Like she is one of those people like I would want to hang out with. So I'm definitely rooting for her.
All right. Well, let's move on then to Jag. Honestly, I don't think any explanation is needed. He gets a 1 from me.
Yeah, he gets a 1 for me too. I feel like he keeps getting all this information and it's being like, oh my God, oh no, like everything I thought is actually not real. And then he just takes it out of his brain and just pushes it away so he doesn't have to think about that, because it's worse knowing that information and knowing that his allies were against him and knowing that he's in a bad spot than it is to be in the safety of and the comfort of knowing that, oh, no, everything is good. My allies are with me. That's all a lie. It's like, I feel like it's like the Matrix or whatever, where it's like he chooses to live in the reality that is fake because it's better for him and he likes that more, and it's more comforting than it is to actually have to do something about it and know that he's in a really bad spot and that his allies are not his allies. And I just wish he would recognize that, because he gets all this information and then just does the absolute worst thing with it every single time. So yeah, he's a 1 and it sucks.
Yes. Ones across the board for the panelists. I don't know what the audience do. But Jag is just so it's just almost comical how like bad he is at this game. Did he not realize that like people would be like lying to his face in this game?
No, he did. He just thinks that America is the cause of all of it. Nobody else is lying to him. It's all America.
Gotcha. Because, and I just think his brain he's like, my brain can't handle this much information. Like, America info dumping on him like every other week after he's being like misted, and she's like, no, it's not. It's not you. And then he's like, my brain, it can't take this information. It's so funny. I like Melissa said it perfectly, but like Jag is he's such a funny guy. He's such great representation for the show. I love seeing his segments on the shows, and I love hearing him talk on the feeds when he's telling us about his personal life. How he like code switches is kind of weird. When he gets around like Jared or certain other house gets kind of weird, but just small side eye to him for that, not a big deal. But his gameplay is just horrendous. It really is. It's like it needs to be studied how bad it is. I don't even know what goes on in his head at some point. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know. Let's just rat out everybody around me. Believe that the people that are telling me the most things and that are my closest allies don't have my best interest at heart, all because these other people are giving me an alliance and slapping a fake name on it. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on in his head. I just don't know.
The thing about Jag is that if you presented Jag with two options, he will always find a way to choose the wrong option. Every single time. It's uncanny. Like, he is incredibly talented at always choosing the wrong thing. Should I believe America or Suri? Suri. Should I believe America or Blue? Blue. Should I believe America or Matt? And that's just the start of it. Should I rat this out over here or this out over here? Nah, definitely this. Should I be loyal to this group over here or this group over here? Nah, definitely this one. He just always manages to choose the wrong thing, and this is what I was tweeting out earlier today. But like the weirdest thing about it is that they don't even really try very hard with Jag. Like, Suri's not putting in hours on Jag. Nobody is. They're just letting him cook, and he's misting himself. Like, he's tricking. He is doing the bulk of the work to fool himself because he wants a thing so badly that he is the one convincing himself of the lies that other people are barely even bothering to tell him. So this is why for me he's a 1. The audience, not particularly close, a 1.89, gave him a 2. All right,
Not good.
let's move on to Jared. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Jared?
Oh God.
Like last night when I was laying in bed and I was like trying to sleep, all I could think about is, how do we get Jared out of this house? And there's literally no way that I can see that Jared will go home if he's put on the block. Unless he's put on the block next to Suri. Like, I literally can't see a situation where Jared goes home. And I'm like, I mean,
against Izzy, like,
maybe
with
Izzy,
Corey
maybe
in
Izzy.
America riding votes with Cameron, and like, I don't know.
I guess that's true. Okay, fine. But unless it's literally Izzy and Suri, which I don't feel like I see people putting them on the block at this point. Like most people, there's a few people who might, but I just felt like there are so many scenarios where Jared does not go home. And he's in a good spot, as horrible as that is. And even Corey actually was just saying this on the feeds, was like, he needs to get Jared out, but there's like no way to get that done. And it's true. It's impossible without being like, all right, I'm putting up Jared and Cirie, and you guys are, it's like, and that is like a huge power move that I don't think a lot of people in the house would make. I think maybe Cam, maybe America, maybe Corey would make that, but for the majority, they're not going to want to do that. Even if they want to get Jared out, they're going to do some flimsy move where they put Jared up and they also put like Matt up or something. They're going to do something that's not actually going to get Jared out, just like Cam did this week. And, as good as his position is, I mean, it is literally all due to Cirie, because Jared is doing himself no favors. He's always saying the wrong thing. He's always annoying people. The whole like, oh, we need to get America out, saying that to Corey. And like, it doesn't make any sense. It's all wrong. Everything that he does in the game is just wrong. I mean, I get so frustrated, mainly because he just feels like he's so correct anytime he talks. Like, he just always has this like air of smugness, and it makes me very frustrated. And maybe he's a great guy outside of this house. Maybe, I don't know. But in the house, I'm very frustrated with him. That's all I'll say. Because it's very hard to watch when somebody is just so set. And it's same with like Cam sometimes. Like, at least these conversations recently with Cam where he's like becoming aware of things, it's like, oh, okay. But previously, Cam was the same way, where it was like, no, I'm right, you're wrong, this is the way it is. That's not a fun conversation to watch. It's just not. So whatever.
That was yesterday for Cam. That was literally yesterday. So
yeah. And well, yeah, I mean, until literally he came around. Now I'm like more like, okay, Cam's not so bad. But yeah, the Jared thing is so bad. I don't know. I just feel like Jared's in a good spot, but it's not anything that he has done. He is actively working against himself in this game. God, I gave him a 3 last week. That was before I thought about his position, I guess. Like, not before I thought about his position entirely, but like just before I like actually did the math. Because I kept thinking like, okay, he'll be an easy out because people are annoyed with him, or he's a very strong competitor or whatever. But now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like Cirie will absolutely make him stay. Maybe, unless it's versus Izzy, and then she'll have to choose between her children, I guess. I don't want to give him a 4, but I feel like I have to, because I feel like I want to just stick with my 3 and just be done with it. But I honestly think I think that he's just in a good spot no matter what he's doing. Like, no matter what bad moves he's making. I don't know. I guess he's performed so poorly this week. I think the fact that he had Cameron, like he had the HOH like in his pocket, like thinking that they were like good, and he could not keep that up for 1 whole week. Like he's been found out. I feel like that's significant. And that now Corey knows. Now Corey is aware of Jared being against him. All right, I'll stick with my 3. That's it.
All right, Mari.
Yes, Jared, all of those things. Jared is very frustrating to watch. It's very annoying. Misogyny runs rampant within the house with some of the men, especially Cameron and Jared. But what we see here on the outside, we don't like. But there is something that he is doing in that house that is, I mean, other than his mom being there. But like,
I would say primarily his mom being there.
Yeah,
maybe only his mom being there.
But the hold that he has on Blue is like, that has become a major power source for him. Like, as much as we want to be like, do we want to be like, but as much as we want to be like, slay girl, use your showmance and kick him to the curb, Blue is not doing that. We all thought, like, when Jared and Blue first started the showmance and Jared just came up off of that secret willy-nilly, we're like, oh God, like this Jared and Blue showmance is going to be the thorn in Jared's side. This is what's going to bring down Cirie. And I'm sorry, but it's kind of the exact opposite. Jared has pulled Blue completely over to his side to the point where she is giving him valuable information that he can then run to his mom in order to use and implement and to keep his adversaries down. Like, Jared has Matt to some extent. Yes, his hold on Cam didn't last, but it lasted as long as it needed to because his mom told him to make that happen before he got into this situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yes, everything is spurred on by Cirie. Yes, when Cirie wasn't there, that was when he spiraled and made some of the worst game moves in the game. But just as much as we're saying that he's an advantage for Cirie, or people saying he's a disadvantage for her, I still think it's both. He still has to play the game. He still has to be a person in himself, and himself is kind of like drawing people to him, like he is. Him and Izzy are pretty close. So I say all that to say that Jared's positioning in the game, even if it's through no fault of his own, I still feel like it's not like Cirie could just be in there with a broom and she could push the broom through. I still think he has to at least bring a 10%. If Cirie is a 90% doing the work, Jared has to put in that 10%. And he's doing enough to where he's in a position that we are trying to figure out a way to get him out. So if you put that into perspective and you put your personal feelings aside about him, then I would definitely say he's still a 4. He's at least a 4 because he really, really messed up with that Corey and America stuff. Like, literally, I mean, a tight 4-person alliance in the Crossroads almost was shattered because of Jared's very stupid self. But Cirie is there. She's the glue. She's mending it. Corey seems to be coming back around. He's still wary, but he doesn't plan on doing anything about it just yet. When 20 hours ago, it was seeming like Corey was okay with putting him on the block next week. So, it's whatever. Like, honestly, like, we can be mad about Jared's positioning all we want to, but he's positioned well. Like, I hate to say it. He's positioned well. Yes, his mom is there helping him. We can't do anything about it. It's happening. Strap on that seatbelt. He's gonna be here, and I hope him and Cam go on the block at some point, and we can do a double and get them both home. But we can't. We gotta just wait. So, say lovey.
I'm going to disagree with most of what's been said so far. First, from Melissa, I think there are actually a lot of ways Jared leaves as early as next week. I think he leaves against a lot of people on the block. I think
I was just tricking you. So I could hear you say that.
Oh, God. She got me. You cammed me.
Got him. Yeah. I knew it all along. Now, boom. Let that sink in. You can take your time.
Next week, you only need 4 votes. And if Jared is up on the block next to Cirie or Izzy or Matt, and Jag is a vote against Jared over Matt, like, there are a lot of ways you can get to 4 votes next week. And so I absolutely think that Jared could leave as early as next week. When it comes to the showmance, I was always on the team of, like, yes, a showmance is always going to be advantageous. Granted, he made it harder for himself by sharing the secret, but at the end of the day, a showmance is a showmance, and very, very, very rarely do you see anything not, like, you're not going to see an actual showmance actually turn on each other. Even Jed and Beth. It was only because Beth needed to survive the week that she let Jed go out. So it's not like I'm going to give somebody credit for getting into a relationship. And then in terms of, like, Jared, like, giving the 10%, like, being a broom, I also disagree with that. I think Jared is an anchor, and he is, like, subtracting percent. It doesn't mean that he's not an advantage for Cirie. At the end of the day, an anchor is, like, can still be wielded as a weapon, but she definitely has to drag him along. Quite a bit, because he is consistently getting himself and her and the entire group into trouble. I think that the reason why all of Jared, Izzy, Cirie, their position have all collectively worsened this week. Right? Cirie's position has gone down. Her rating has gone down. AZ's position has gone down, at least in my estimation, but she played decently. Jared's position has gone considerably down because just last week he was in a position where it seemed very unlikely that he would ever be in a spot where he could leave. Now there are a ton of scenarios where he could leave. He's lost Corey, which is absolutely absurd that he lost Corey. There was never a reason for that to happen. There was never a single reason that he should be losing Corey, and now Corey actively wants him gone. That is ridiculous that happened this week. There was no reason for it. I can't express how much there was no reason for that to happen other than he just lost his mind and started ranting and raving about Corey in America at any given opportunity. And I think that the position that has deteriorated via like for Sari, Izzy, and Jared, it yes happened because of Cam's HOH, but I would say more than that, it was Jared's mistakes this week that have deteriorated their position so dramatically. Because if it was just Cam, they'd be losing Felicia, but everything else would be fine. But because Jared went so like weird on Corey and America and Jag and all of these people, like they started talking, and now America is firmly set against them. Corey's now against them, and their position is so significantly worse. He's now lost Cam. Like there's just so much that's happened here with Jared. It's unbelievable to me how poorly he played given the situation that he's in. That didn't need to happen at all. And that's been the story of Jared in this season, is that he's been in good spots and has just made unforced error after unforced error. And now he's in a position where he is teetering on the edge of being in a disastrous spot, almost entirely due to his own actions. So I'm not going to give him a 1, but I'm going to agree with what the audience gave him, which is a 2. Right.
Okay.
Let's move on to Matt. Mari, what are your thoughts on Matt?
I've always had a soft spot for Matt. I feel like he's learning on the job. You could tell, we all know he was a recruit. We can all tell that he's learning on the job, on top of having to deal with production not dealing with him being their first deaf contestant. And, you know, Matt has said very problematic things. We get it. And I think Taran, everybody on this network, has done very good jobs of calling to light the misogynistic things said by Matt, by calling out the words used by Jared. I think we've done a good job of addressing the problem issues that some of the house guests have had. That being said, this punishment that Matt has had is, honestly, I'm sorry, it's so good. It's so funny. It's so hilarious. It's definitely endearing me to Matt. And this week, this not having Sari around for 2 days significantly improved Matt's position. Taran's been talking about it all week. He's been holding things in. He hasn't been ratting. He's maneuvering in such a way that he's now in a power position of kind of just being able to exist in the house and let everybody kind of take themselves out. Corey's trying to make trying to get closer to him. So for me, I think Matt has done very well this week. I'm trying to find some negatives about his week, but honestly, I'm not seeing much. Taran, I'm pretty sure will enlighten us. But I like Matt. I'm sorry, I like Matt, and I think he's doing a really good job position wise, and he has the capabilities to win, especially the next 2 comps if they're what we think they are. Well, I want to see if they like what kind of concessions they make for Otev if he's in it. Will they make it more accessible for him? Because if there's any type of water or slime, he has to take out his hearing aids. So
I would hope they give him some text. like text while the thing is talking, you know.
I hope so as well. So, yeah, I like Matt. I want to give him. I'll give him a 5 this week. I think he's doing very well. Me personally.
All right. Well, the audience does agree with you. They gave him a 4 last week, but a 5 this week. And I mean, honestly, I think what you said about Matt, like, also sort of explains what I had been saying about America and like her feelings towards Cameron, where it's like, yeah, you can be like, I don't like that he did this. I don't like that he is quoting people that are like this, but also it's adorable when he's bringing Josh around and hanging out with Josh and butt kicking Josh. Like those two things can coexist.
Exactly.
And like you know, that's okay. You
It's
know,
okay, everybody. Calm down. Calm down, everybody. It is okay. All right.
Yes. So like, you know, we are still going to call out anything that is not good. And that's just what you should do. Like it doesn't have, it's not personal. It doesn't have anything to like, if you see something that somebody is doing that is not good, that you don't think is good, you should call it out. You should say, I don't think this is good. It doesn't have to be any deeper than that. And so, that said, with Matt, I've been talking about this for the last few days. I think Matt's been playing really well this week, primarily because his obsession with America seems to have diminished, which was the biggest fault in his game, because he was actively targeting somebody who wanted to work with him, causing distrust and causing his own alliance, people like Suri, to not trust him anymore either, because he was so dead set on one particular thing. Instead of being moldable like he should be, this week he has been much more moldable. And he has been very much just giving everybody what they want from him, including people like America and Corey, who now really want to work with Matt. And that's huge. That's massive for Matt. Because instead of trying to get rid of Matt to be in a better spot with Suri and Izzy, they're now thinking we need to work with Matt against Suri and Izzy, which is obviously a dramatic difference. And all it took was to stop just constantly talking about America. So that's very good. The fact that Suri was caught up in the kayak thing meant that he wasn't spilling his entire game to Suri constantly. And he hasn't really gone all the way back to that either. He's been keeping his cards pretty close to his chest. He even had a conversation with Corey about like, hey, we should like be on the same page about what we're telling Suri, because we don't want to be like out ratting each other. And I don't know if he's going to rat that out to Suri, but I don't think he should. I think that he is like doing a good job of giving people what they need from him and just getting into this spot of like being very well protected while also being such a dangerous end game competition threat, and still being very likable. I really like what Matt's done this week. I think that he's in one of the best spots in the entire house right now. If I knew how intentional he was being, I might be even higher on him. But for now, I'm back up to the 6 I was at 2 weeks ago. I think that Matt is doing a good job this week so far. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel better about Matt's game, although I can't decide if it's because Suri was kind of like out of commission and he wasn't just like her little lackey. I think I really don't know. And so I'm willing to give him a 5. But I feel like if he just goes back to just doing whatever Suri says, like I understand like working with her is good for him, but I think he needs to be thinking about his own game and not just doing whatever she says to do, because I feel like that doesn't give me any faith in him moving forward down the line, like to actually do anything. I think he could just get taken out. So yeah, we'll see how things go, but I do think that this week was better for Matt for sure.
All right. Okay, so finally, let's talk about Mimi. The audience last week gave Mimi a 6. this week went down to a 5 on Mimi, which I think is understandable that they go down here. It has not been a great week for Mimi. She is pretty much all in on the Suri side of things. So the Suri side of things being in a worse position is in some ways bad for her, in some other ways not bad for her, because a weakened Suri group means that her own position within it gets a little better. But unfortunately, she's taken kind of the biggest hit because she was the closest person to Felicia. Felicia was kind of her person. And she is currently not even in the know about the vote right now, which means she can't even like really prep for it or do any work there. They've been talking about leaving her out of the know, and Cerie's been talking about like they can maybe blame Bowie's vote on, or that she can take credit for Bowie's vote and try to pretend she voted with Mimi. She also then talked about like, no, we should tell Mimi ahead of time and make sure she feels included, which would be much better, obviously. But it's not the best position to be in, and it really goes back to when she was talking to Felicia and she was saying, "I don't want to know things sometimes," and it's like, I think you do, you do. And so this has not been the best week for Mimi. I'm still not like out on Mimi, but I think that if she was playing more actively, she might be able to save Felicia, take out Izzy. That would be a huge coup for Mimi. If Mimi was out there talking to Corey, talking to like Jag, the Mad, even like the people that like could theoretically go in the Izzy direction. If she was able to take out Izzy this week, Mimi, she has, this is the thing with Mimi. She has so many opportunities to get into a really amazing spot, but she never takes them. And so it's like, okay, how many more of these do you have left before you run out, you know? And so I don't love how she played the week. She's not in like a dire position by any means, but I'm gonna drop her down as well. I'm gonna give her a 4 this week. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think like I'm worried that Mimi doesn't care about actually like playing the game at all. Like I think she's just fine to just continue in the spot that she's in and just move forward, and then if she goes, she goes. I hope that's not the case, because I would like to see her make some moves. I would like to see her, do something, but so far we haven't really seen much of it. Every week it's just, well, are people targeting her actively, or are they not targeting her actively? And it feels like there's nothing that she's doing that's changing her position up or down. It's more like, are people looking at her or are they not looking at her? But she's not changing her behavior or anything that she's doing. So, and that's the thing, is I can't tell if she's just purposefully laying low. Darn it. I think I got another mosquito bite. This mosquito is in this house. Anyway, I can't get rid of him. I can't tell whether she's purposely laying low or she's just like to then actively play the game once, okay, now it's time. Or if she's just, this is just the way she plays and she's just not an active player. She's a very passive player. And then she just kind of lets the game kind of take her with the tide. And whether she wins is, up to fate or whatever. I don't know. So for me, I'm going to stick with my 5, but it could go down next week if I feel like she's really still not doing anything, because she's got to make a move at some point.
Yeah. Mimi is a very passive player, but I don't think she does. It's not that she doesn't care. I think she is not the Hamilton quote coming to me. I was about to sing "Wait for it" on here, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I think she is just taking it a little bit too far, like laying really low. But I think once Felicia goes, no matter how it happens, I seriously doubt that it's going to be a blindside. I think Sari may have learned her lesson with how Bowie reacted, and she cares more about Mimi than Bowie, which I mean doesn't say much really. So I want to see how Mimi reacts first to the news of Felicia's going, to then what are her next moves after that. Plus, again, if we're gonna give like Matt the boost and America the boost for the wall competition coming up, we gotta throw Mimi's name in there. she was solid as a rock in pressure cooker if she hadn't had, I don't know if it was the dead fly or whatever, but if she hadn't gotten distracted, I truly think that was hers. Plus I think she knows, her and America look like they know the lore of it, because Mimi is a fan of having the long sleeve shirts. Taylor talked about it on her deep dive, have the long sleeve shirt so you can use it with your hands to get the good grip. I think Mimi, it's not down and out for her, but like Taran said, it's like, how many more opportunities are you going to have to land that knockout blow if you're not taking them? So, but depending on how this season is going, really ridiculously, to the point where all of the big targets could end up just getting taken out, and Mimi could just be standing there once the dust settles and be final 3, final 2. You know what I'm saying? So, and I actually do think she could get a jury vote at the end, because she could get that, depending on who she's sitting next to, she could get that vote where it's I don't mind her winning, especially if she is sitting next to somebody people don't like. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's not impossible. So I'm gonna give Mimi a 5. I still really like her. I want to see her turn it up. But then again, it's so weird, because this is still just the final 13 or something, or final 12 or something.
Heading into the final 11, yeah.
It feels like it's way more people should be gone by now, but it's still final 12. So I can see why she might be kind of hesitant to make a huge move right now, because it feels like, if you're looking at the game, you're thinking I have so much game left that I can turn it on later. But we all know that that's not how BB works. Sometimes you have to lay that groundwork in that path to the end as soon as you possibly can. So yeah, I'm rooting for Mimi.
All right. I am too. I tweeted this out earlier this week, that I hope that this is the week that shows Mimi that the path she thought she was taking is not a real one. That she, because the Mimi has just been brown sugar babes. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately for her, that is not it for Cirie and Jared. And so that was always a dead end for her. And so if she's able to see that when they tell her they're voting out Felicia, that could open her eyes, Bowie style, to be like, okay, now I need to start playing the game a little more, because the path that I thought I was on is not real. So we'll see. All right. That's it. That's the Stockwatch for the week. I did not prep with the Melissas this time. So
that's okay. I did not do anything. So, I mean, I still have my Mimi, but that is not going to be good for me this week. So, best to not show it.
Yes, the Mimi stock had been doing well for you, but
yeah,
I think this one,
I need to actually make a move, I think, and actually buy someone this week.
I was checking my Stockwatch in the middle of this because I forgot who I put my money on.
All right. Well, any final thoughts before we start to wrap up here tonight, Melissa?
This has been an interesting week, honestly. It's fun to see, somebody make a move. Maybe it wasn't done well or done, with the right people on the block, but I think it is fun to have somebody just go and just make a power move like that. Unfortunately, he's not setting himself up well for the future, so that's not great. But it's interesting to see how everyone's handling it. I'm interested to see, now that it seems that a lot of people in the house's eyes have been opened to certain things. I'd be interested to see what that means moving forward. I think this next HOH is going to be pivotal. So I'm very interested to see what happens.
Yes.
All right, Mari, any final thoughts?
No, this has been a great roundtable. I hope what people took away from this roundtable is that 3 people can watch the same things and get different thoughts from it, and be able to sit here and talk back and forth and converse without going wild in people's mentions or comments. Like it's not that serious, guys. Like it truly isn't. It's a bunch of grown-ups in a backyard playing a game, like, you know, in a parking lot playing a game. So I'm having a lot of fun this season, watching the season, you know, interacting with BB Twitter has been very, very interesting. This season. I blame Elon. But it's fun. Like we all got to remember it's fun. We're not all going to like all of the people. We're not all going to agree with what, you know, who's working with who and how people do stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like it's truly not that big of a deal. Enjoy the season. Like we aren't getting some of the crazy mess that we've got in past seasons where it's like, yes, people are talking about people behind their backs, but that's how people bond. Taran talks about this every year. Yes, like people are saying stupid stuff, but like that's Big Brother. I feel like we've gotten past like the really negative of it all, and it feels like we're all going into game mode. It feels like the players are going into game mode and stuff like that. So I say all that to say, enjoy the game, treat each other with respect, and, you know, have fun. Go touch grass when you can. It's not that big of a deal. And that's it.
Yeah, there's always a trajectory with and I notice it a lot, like in my position, where at the beginning of the season, like everyone's on the same page, everyone's happy, everyone's like, oh, the chaos, this is great. And then like a month in, you start getting the like, how dare you say that about my page?
Yeah.
Like you are biased. You don't even
Mhm.
understand the genius of Daddy Cameron. Or, you know, like so on and so forth. Like
Yeah.
it gets, people get more and more invested. And that's part of the beauty
Yeah.
of Big Brother. And and that's
Exactly.
okay too. As long as we're kind to each other, you know? So
Mhm.
we will continue on this season. It's been a wild one so far, and we are not even halfway done yet.
We're not
So
even halfway through.
yeah, let's find out what happens now. You can of course find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, hanging out, watching things, playing games, and doing all the stuff. You can find some merch over on my merch store. You can find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran, where I tweet out the survey for this podcast. You can go to Instagram if you want to see climbing stuff occasionally. And I'll be back tomorrow morning with an update. Tomorrow night, we'll have a 2-hour episode, so I'll be streaming for 2 hours. Listen, we're going to need each other tomorrow night because it's going to be 2 hours of punishments for both the house guests and for us. So let's watch it together over on Twitch, and then we'll be here to make fun of it all on the podcast afterward. So tune in for all of that. Mari, where can people find you?
You can find me over on Twitter, unfortunately, at Mari Talks Too Much. That's 2 like the number 2. Of course, you can find me on Crime Scene every Tuesday. Me and Sarah Carradine bring you True Crime Tuesdays to RHAP. We just dropped one featuring Sasha Joseph, the amazing, wonderful Sasha Joseph, where we talked about the docuseries Dancing on the Grave. It is a Indian-based true crime docuseries that can be found on Amazon, and it's very powerful docuseries. So go check us out by going to robhasawebsite.com/crime feed to subscribe. Also, last week I was just on the Reality Kingdom with Lee and Pharaoh doing their like player rankings. So if you want to go to their YouTube and support them, they talk about BB Survivor, the challenge as well. They're amazing. Follow them at T Reality Kingdom on Twitter. And finally, me and Chappelle and Latanya are back over on post-show recaps with The Connect. This week, we just dropped our first episode 1 and 2 coverage of The Changeling, and Apple TV episodes about T-series about like fairies. Maybe we're still trying to figure it out. It's a mystery / dark fairy tale, dark fantasy, but set in like modern day New York, starring Lakeith Stanfield or whatever. So go check that out by going to post show recaps / The Connect, or you can find us over on post show recaps YouTube, where we're dropping the video version of the podcast. So go check out It's me and Chappelle this week covering that. Next week, me and Asia will be covering The Other Black Girl, which is a TV show on Hulu. So just go and support the Connect, where we're trying to cover prestige Black television, stuff that's not getting that major coverage on like other networks. And that's it for me. Sorry.
All right. Well, you can of course find Melissa at It's Melissa with 3 mosquitoes.
Oh.
No, I hope not. Please. Please. Although it's honestly true. I'm so itchy. I have so many bites.
Oh, I hate that.
This is what Melissa
I
does
suffered
for you.
guys.
You're gonna make me
He's
itchy.
like, you know that noise? You like fly around my ear, and it's like, but I couldn't get him. So he's somewhere. And
Yeah, if you didn't watch the video version of this podcast, you missed a lot of Melissa swiping at air.
Yeah, I liked someone in the chat saying I was on a side quest this whole podcast. I was like sitting over here doing my own thing. Oh God, terrible. Whew. Well, yeah, I'm gonna be on a hunting trip after this.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today, and we will see all of you next time.